Hey folks, Todd here. Today we're going to show you how to install Husky Liners Extend-A-Fender Fender Flares on this 2024 Ford F-150. The tools we'll be using for this installation are a ratchet with 7mm socket, a Phillips head screwdriver, Phillips head bit with 1/4" wrench, and scissors. Okay, so here is our passenger side front fender flare. That's the one we're going to do first. Go ahead and flip this around and show you guys. This is the edge of the fender flare that's actually going to be touching the paint. So what we're going to do is we're going to install some edge trim that actually provides a nice buffer between the flare and the paint so it doesn't do any kind of damage. We need to first clean off the inside edge. We want to clean that off with some rubbing alcohol. That does a great job of removing any kind of contaminants that might be there from manufacturing or shipping, packaging, that sort of thing. And next, what we're going to do, the red tape portion goes to the inside and this goes to the outside. So what we want to do is kind of peel that apart so when it sets down in place that we have the edge of the flare nested inside the edge trim. Go ahead and peel away a few inches of the adhesive. So the red back vinyl, we want to kind of pull that and pull it to where it goes to the inside of the flare. Then we're just going to kind of loop that around and get that set in place. We're going to go ahead and go just a few inches at a time and work all the way around. So we want to kind of spread that apart, make sure it's going over both sides. And the best way to do that is just kind of hold that in place, peel back the adhesive, and then push it into the flare. And then just do a few inches at a time all the way to the end. All right, now once we get to the end, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and run that out. Make sure we've got enough all the way down in there and cut it in place. Just take a pair of scissors, cut that right off, and hold that down and in place. Pull out the rest of the adhesive and work that in. All right, now we can just do the same steps on the remaining flares. Okay, now if you have a 2024 and up F-150 that does not have factory holes that our bracket can attach to, we're going to be using the tape-on bracket. We're using 3M automotive grade tape, and I've already gone ahead and put on our template. So we've got a passenger side template, we've got a driver's side template. I cut this out of the instruction sheet and I've got it set in place with some painter's tape. What that does is that tells me where I can start with my bracket. So I've got the piece coming all the way over to this line here, and this is where I start with the bracket. So that bracket is going to sit right here. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to make a small mark on this end over here. So now I know how far over I need to clean. Next in your kit, you're going to have some isopropyl rubbing alcohol prep pads. I'm going to tear one out real quick. And we're going to wipe down that surface and bring it all the way to this mark right here. And we want to make sure we allow that alcohol to dry. So about a minute, about 60 seconds, should be completely dry. Okay, now that our alcohol has completely dried on the surface of the paint, so this is our adhesive promoter, we're going to open up, we're going to slide that out, and then we're going to coat this surface right here with the adhesive promoter. All right, we want to let that sit for about 60 to 90 seconds to allow that to flash. Okay, now that our adhesive promoter has been given a moment to flash, what we're going to go ahead and do is peel back a little bit of the tape on both sides of this. So we're just going to grab the corners, peel it back just a little bit so that it comes out from the top side. All right, next we can go ahead and line it up and set it in place. What we're going to do is very gently set it in place first, because once this touches that adhesive promoter, it's going to want to grab immediately. All right, now that that's in place, we're going to go ahead and Slowly peel this back. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and bear in on this and get good pressure on that. All right, so next what we're going to do is take our fender flare and get it set up in place. And the first thing that I like to do is line up the factory hardware. So we've got the factory screw going through this hole into the factory location. Then we're going to move to the back where we've got the 2 screws from the factory that line up to these 2 holes. We're going to get those in there finger tight. Next, we're going to move up to this next hole. This is where we've got the long U-bolt. So we're going to use one of the long screws in our kit for that U-bolt. We're not going to tighten anything down until we get it all lined up. And next for these 3 right here, that's part of the bracket that we've installed. And those also take the longer bolts. So using a Phillips head screwdriver, get a look up in there. It might be helpful to use a flashlight so you can see to line up the holes. All right, now we've got it all lined up, we can go ahead and start and tightening everything down. I'm going to start with these screws right here, these 4 Phillips head screws. And then we're going to go ahead and tighten up the 3 factory fasteners using a 7mm. I'm kind of bearing in to make sure we get good contact against our fender. All right, and then the front, same, we're going to push in and tighten down. All right, let's go ahead and move back to the rear fender. All right, now we are at our rear wheel well. Again, I just want to reiterate, we need to make sure that everything is completely washed and thoroughly dried. Next, what we're going to do, we're going to go towards the front of the wheel well. We've got 2 holes right here, 2 factory bolts. Those are going to come out with a 7mm. Okay, next what we're going to do is locate our right rear fender. So we're going to have a sticker in here that says right rear. Go ahead and flip this around. And we're going to go ahead and get this set in place. Just dry fit and get everything to where it's lined up. All right, and once everything is lined up, we're going to take a Sharpie, and then these 3 holes right here, we're going to mark inside the fender. And then pull it away, and there are our 3 marks. Okay, now for these 3 areas we just marked, what we're going to do is use the other 3 Mylar tabs for this side. We're going to go kind of long ways here. We're going to center that on the mark and then fold it around. We're going to do that on all 3 locations. All right, now, and on all 3 locations, we're going to use these Z-shaped clips. Again, we want to make sure the hole is facing towards the tire. We're going to put those centered on each of the Mylars. All right, now once we have the Z-shaped clips in place, we're going to come back down here to the very back, take one of our small U-shaped clips, and we're going to clip that over top of the metal flange that's there. So I'm going to peel the plastic back, insert that right over top of the metal flange, and get it centered right over top of that hole. Okay, next what we're going to do is go ahead and grab our rear flare, line it up to these 2 here. Next, we're going to go to the back. We're going to use the longer bolts in our kit, and again, get that started. All right, so lastly, we've got these last 3 holes. We're going to be using these short screws in our kit because they're going to go into the Z-shaped clips that we have on our fender, the inside of our fender. And again, it may be helpful to have a flashlight shine up in there, line up those holes initially. All right, one of the things that's really helpful to do is as you're getting that lined up, take your Phillips head screwdriver, push in there and line that Z-clip up because that will slide around a little bit in there for you. Then go ahead and line the screw up, get that set in place. All right, now that we've got all those snugged up, we're going to go ahead and tighten up our front hardware. This is the factory hardware. We're going to use a 7mm for that. As I tighten those up, I'm going to go ahead and bear in. There we go. All right, now for this last screw, we've got a very tight fit. So what we're going to use is a Phillips head bit with a 1/4 inch wrench. So that way we can twist it in with the wrench. All right, there we go. Okay, now for the last step, what we're going to do is make sure that our edge trim is seated properly. Now we also have an edge trim tool in our kit. We've got a hook side and we've got a straight side. The hook side is to seat the edge trim between the paint and the fender flare, and the straight side is to seat the edge trim between the fender flare and the edge trim. So the way that's going to work is, the way I like to do it is, I'll just kind of like squirt a little bit of detail spray because it works as a good lubricant and it as a good cleaner. And then I'll squirt a little bit of the detail spray on the hook side as well if I'm going to start with the outside portion. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start it at one end and just kind of work it all the way through. And then same with the other side, just like so. Next, we're going to go ahead and wipe everything down. We can repeat the entire process on the opposite side of the truck. Well, it's just that simple, and that concludes the installation.